afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday again, and so it's time for me to be going live. So hopefully, it would also help if I turn the sound on, which is a bit off. Oops, sorry about that. Sorry about that, chaps. Hello, it's Sunday again, and time for me to go live. I forgot to turn the sound on. Obviously the sun is getting to me because we haven't had any sun for a bit, but today is absolutely gorgeous. It is a really beautiful summer day, and I've left Paul sitting out in the garden by the pond watching the sparrows having baths, especially the baby sparrows. They are so cute. They are really, really gorgeous, and they come down, and mum or dad sparrow comes down. Last one was dad sparrow, and Dad has his bathe and flapping his wings, and Baby's sitting there going, what, how'd you do that? How do I do that? What are we all doing with that? Oh dear. And anyway, eventually Baby Sparrow gets in, so it's all right, and starts flapping about and nearly falling in. I've organised that end of the pond so that there are quite a lot of flat stones about that much below the water, so the small birds can get in, and they've got something to stand on, and then they can flap their wings and have a bath and have a drink. And they need a bit more space there, though, because sparrows, as you probably know, come in flocks, and so it gets a bit crowded in there, and the youngsters, sort of, like all youngsters, are sort of shoving each other out of the way. So I need to do some work up there, which would be really good. So here we are, lovely summery Sunday afternoon, and hopefully you're getting some nice weather too, so that would be nice. And we're ready for off, I think. Hopefully there'll be somebody turn up in a minute, and probably better wait for them and see how it goes, unless you're all out enjoying the sunshine, in which case you'll just, if you want to see it, you'll just have to look at the recording. But that's okay, because it gets recorded, so it'll be up on the page if you're not making it at the moment. Well, I was wondering this morning and yesterday, like, what do you want me to talk about today, guys? Hi, Pam. And it was just sitting there for a while. I was sitting there with a pot of tea and the cat, and she was purring in my lap. So I was sitting there going, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, you've got to tell a story. Tell a story of how you got here, up to Shropshire, where I am. And as some of you will know, and hi Raven, I came from Herefordshire, and it will be a year just after Lammas. It'll actually be a year on my birthday, because I managed to get the removal men to come the day before my birthday, so that I slept that night in my bed here, in my new home, and I woke up on my birthday morning here. And that was the best present I could have had last year, because last year was tough, and we all get these years where things happen. The results of the tough, though, are amazing, and this is what Otherworld want, and they want the story of it, because bits of it, perhaps quite a lot of it, may ring true to lots of you, and maybe what I did, my experience, will help you. So that's where we are, that's where we're going today. So, well, I went looking for the cards, as usual, this morning, and these two came up. That's a tree. Whoops, which hand is which? That hand. The tree and the ancestor. Now, I've lived between the tree and the ancestor really all my life. The ancestor in this one is Ellen of the Ways. You can see beautiful deer-headed lady with fantastic antlers and her drum, and about to beat her drum, and she's standing in the snow, a fantastic blue of her gown and fantastic green, so she's blue, green and white with a goldy browny bronze belt, standing in the snow, looking, and she's actually, let's see if I can get it close enough for you to see, she actually, to me, she looks quite fierce there. Good, nice, but fierce. And I've known her like that all my life. And the other side of it is the tree. Well, the tree is the tree, the world tree for us, which is an oak tree in this country. And you can see that this one is carrying autumn leaves and spring green as well. And we call it often the green and burning tree. And in front of the tree, on the ground, is the Troy town, Troy Ceru. That's the city of terns, the stronghold of terns. And it's not a maze, it's a labyrinth. If you follow it, and you'll find them, diagrams of them, on Google, all over the place. If you follow it, you go all the way into the centre by a very circuitous route, and then you can come all the way out again. So you don't get lost, but you are led on a path. And that's always happened for me. I've always been led on a path, and this past year's not been any different. Oh, where did it all begin? Last May. I'd just come back from holiday with Fiona. We'd had nearly 3 weeks up in Scotland, and one of them had been at Ardnamurchan, which is over on the west coast. It's beautiful. It's one of the most tree-filled places in Scotland, the Ardnamurchan Peninsula, and an awful lot of it's oak forest. So it's really wooded. The Highlands now, because they've got too many deer there, and Trees for Life are trying to do something about this. In fact, they're succeeding. But because they've got so many deer, and no predator for the deer other than humans, the deer eat all the forest, and there is no forest where there should be. But Ardnamurchan is much better and okay. And it was really wonderful to go to a place in the Highlands that was full of forests and rivers, and also beautiful beaches, because it's close to the coast as well. So we just had everything. It was gorgeous. And we had an add-on. Ardnamurchan is the best place to go and see pine martens. They've got pine martens coming out of their ears, and all the holiday cottages have space. They've got tables and feeding tables for the martens, and so you can sit in your front window in the evening and you just look out, and there's pine martens, and they're climbing up and they're feeding and they're playing, and and they're wild, you know, they're not tame or anything. I mean, yes, they know to come to the feeders, but that's a sensible animal thing, isn't it? But they are there. So I'd had this wonderful time seeing pine martens, photographing pine martens up to my ears. And the other thing that Ardnamurchan is really, really good for, hi Joe, is the wildcat, the Scottish wildcat. It's one of the few places where they're actually not doing too badly, and the Highland Tiger people have bought an island out in the loch, and you can actually go there. There is a holiday cottage there, but we decided not to because we wanted to go around other places as well. And there, wildcat is supreme, and they're perfectly safe. Now, yes, wildcats suffer from humans. At the moment, Clashnadaric Forest is being demolished to put up a wind farm. Why? You know, money. Why? Exactly. But it's being demolished, and it's one of the few places in Aberdeenshire, that's on the other side of Scotland, where wildcats are. And we're all fighting desperately to try and stop them. It's a bit like the fight for HS, against HS2. Anyway, we're all doing our best to try and stop what's happening, because there are about 40 Scottish wildcats in the world, maybe not even that many. That's staggering. Endangered species, they're right on the brink. So I'd really like to save them. And also, of course, my prime familiar, the one who's always with me, is a Scottish wildcat. So I really feel for her and I want to help her. So when we went to Ardnamurchan, saw tracks, didn't see any wildcats, and pine martens and everything. It was so beautiful. So I had a wonderful time. And before we went up, I was able to go around Fiona's new croft and visit her stone circle, and we came back. And again, it was playing at the croft and playing with her horses, who were so beautiful, and the ferrets, who I adore. And again, going to visit the stone circle. So I was really like, yeah, this is fantastic. And we'd made plans that we would do the Apprentice and Rainbow Warriors workshops up at her place. There's a lovely campsite and caravan site, literally about a mile and a half down the road from her, where people can stay. And then we do it all amongst the horses, out in the woods, at the stone circles, at all these places. Well, there we were, full of plans. I come home. Well, great, it's fine, telling Paul all about it. About 2 days later, the landlord's agent turns up. I'm really sorry. After 20 years we were there, the landlord wants the house back. You got to go. You can imagine, I was just devastated and in tears and broken-hearted. I put so much energy into that place, and the garden was perfect now, a beautiful wildlife garden, and lovely for humans to sit in too, and lots of animals and wildlife. I mean, we had stoats coming up to look at you out of the long grass, about 2 feet, if that, from where you sat by the pond. It's like, yeah, this is it. We've got there. It's fine. Gone. That was May, middle of May, and we were given until the end of September to move. Well, the first week was not moving, shan't, fight. Never a good idea, because it was all about me and all about Paul. So then I started doing what all my apprentices say. I'm always banging on about to them. You've got to ask. And I was asking, but my questions were all the wrong questions, like, why have I got to go? Why can't I stay? Help me to stay. And of course, the world was going, it's not how it is. So, we had to move. And so I began to journey on it, usually out in the garden. I've got a really good sort of lounger set up, which is by the pond here now, and it was by a beautiful pond there. And I would go out and journey any time of day, often in the morning when the sun's first coming up, or in the dusk of the evening as it's getting darker. I find the twilights are really good. The twilight's the time between the two lights. Twilight is derived from the two lights, and it's this in-between time. So I would go out and journey then. And my journey kept taking me to this sort of place. And that's the first card, the Wanderer, in the major arcana of the Wildwood Tarot. The other 2 cards I showed you were from the Wildwood Tarot too. And it's the journeyman, the wanderer, the seeker, who is going out. And I felt just like this, and this morning when I was looking for the right cards, I said, yes, that's absolutely it. This is how I felt. when I was trying to find out what to do and how to go and what was happening. And as though I was there on one side of a river, and that's quite a busy river, I think you can see. It looks as though there's currents and lots of waves and flowing in there. And I was stood on a rock, and I had to get to the other side. And the other side wasn't exactly prepossessing. I mean, again, am I holding this correctly? Let's get it right. There, let's try that. It's quite a tangle on the other side. It's a forest, and all the branches are growing together, and there's no path that you can see whatsoever. Now, the enchanted forest is like that, and you never try and enter down a path that's already been used by somebody else. It is somebody else's path. You have to find your own way in through the tangles. So, there I was, standing on my rock, journeying, and wondering what was going to happen, how I was going to do this, what was going to take me, how I was going to find the bridge. Now, you see in this card, Bill Worthington's put that a rainbow is starting to build out from in front of the wanderer's feet that will take them across the water. A rainbow bridge, but not the rainbow bridge of death. This is a rainbow bridge of all the colours in the rainbow of life that will take you across. And it happens. It happens like that. So, there I was, waiting, hoping, asking for my bridge to come. And I use the tarot. You obviously know I use the tarot. So, I was there asking what happens, and all the time, every reading, there were shades, but every time I did a reading, which was of course far too often because I was feeling desperate, and we all do this, every time I did a reading, it was, you need to give something up. Well, I knew it would be important something. And was I to give up Paul? Paul wasn't very well last year. In fact, he was quite ill. Not altogether realising it, but then he's a bloke and they don't. And so I thought, is he going to die? You know, is this it? And my last cat, Olwen, was also very old and not very well. Actually had the same sort of problem as Paul did, as they both had high blood pressure. Ollie, on the one hand, was taking pills for it, and it's only been early this year that I've been able, or I and the doctor have been able to persuade Paul to get himself sorted with that. But I knew Ollie wouldn't want to be there much longer. She was she was 17, so it was like, you know, and so every day I was asking, are you still okay? Do you want to still be here? Are you okay? And every day I got yes, at the moment. So I thought, well, it isn't either of those. So eventually I asked the right question. I said, what am I supposed to give up? If you've read my book, Merlin, you'll know that Merlin has been with me all of my life. He came when I was a very small little child, and he has been with me. He'd been with me for over 70 years at that time. And as far as I was concerned, that was it. You know, this is like a wedding. This is like, you know, your lover who you live with. This is your husband who you live with. And he was of even greater status than that for me. He was my guardian, and he had been with me all my life. So you can imagine when he said, well, I'm leaving you now. I'm going to pass you on to somebody else, but I'm not coming north with you. We had actually found this house, but we weren't sure we could have it then. You know, papers hadn't been signed and all this kind of thing. So I was like, oh, you know, floods of tears, of course. And why? Why are you leaving me? Well, I need to go back a little bit because 20 years ago we needed to move out of London, 21, 22 years ago, and it took us a year or two to get to where we were supposed to be. And Merlin led me to the place we last lived in, which was about a mile away from one of his birthplaces in the stories, in The Matter of Britain, our old stories. So, I was like, I didn't know this until after we'd actually moved into the house, and about a week later I found out all about it, and that this is a Merlin place. Oh my God, okay, that makes perfect sense. I know why we're here. And so, I had that as well. And I had the garden, of course. And why are you leaving me? What's going to happen? And he said, I have to go now, and you must move on. And you must go, and your guardian now will be Gwynapnuth, that's the antlered god. Have I got his card relatively to hand here? I might have, but I might not. Let's just have a quick look and see. No, it's not coming up immediately, but we'll sort of see. Is he there? Anyway, he's Gwynapnuth, he's the antlered god. And he's Ellen's antlered partner. And I've known him all my life too, so fine. But it was like, you're losing Merlin? And it wasn't that Gwyn wasn't good enough, it was just like, and I didn't know him as I knew Merlin. But anyway, they both stood around me and looked after me, and I was sort of cuddled, which was really nice, by everybody. And so I said, why? What is going on? I thought the only way I was going out of this house would be in a box, feet first. And he said, no. He said, you've had your 20 years apprenticeship. Now you have to go on and do the work in a much bigger way. And you're going to go with Gwynapnuth, not with me. So, lots of swallowing, several pots of tea, several days, and getting to know Gwyn. Oh, as I said, I already knew, but not in the same way. So, there I was, and we found this house. And as some of you know again, this house, the living room window of this house, looks right out, straight out onto the Caradoc. And the Caradoc is a very, very, very magical place. And it's got a cave in the top of it and a pool at the top of it. And it's a pointy mountain too, so it even sort of looks very special. And we're looking at it out of our front window every day. And it's Gwyn's mountain, always has been for me. The legends from around here are of a character called Wild Edric. And Wild Edric, one of the tales of him is that he rides with and leads the wild hunt. That's the wild hunt. The white hounds with the red ears and the red eyes, and they gallop across the hills, and amongst other things, they collect souls who have got lost and help them and take them to the river and help them across. This is what Gwyn does too. This is one of Gwyn's big jobs as a soul leader. And they also frighten away and hunt down and chase away bad thought forms, people who've been mean and selfish and their thought forms come out. Unfortunately, an awful lot of politicians and quite a few businessmen are that kind of people too. But so are lots of ordinary people. And so when they pass, Gwyn chases them home too, to see if they can learn not to do this next time around. So he's very fierce, very wild, very exciting. Oh, and when I eventually got up to the top of the Caradoc, which was just before midsummer, I discovered that, I went to the cave and we sat there and had our lunch, and looking down from the cave with the binoculars, you see my front door. You really do. And I look up at it every day, because every day I go out the front door and say, "Morning," to Gwyn. And so, there's this whoa connection between us. And he brought me to live where I could see him, which is so, in some ways, like Merlin brought me to live at one of his birthplaces so that I could learn and work with him. So it took me a few days to get over losing Merlin and gaining Gwyn. And as soon as I'd actually let go of it, as soon as I'd actually let go of Merlin and placed myself with Gwyn, all the paperwork went through on the house. Just like that. Now, you shouldn't be surprised. This is how the world works. That it is exchange. I gave, they gave. I gave, they gave. I gave, they gave. But you have to give. And sometimes it is such a deep thing, the gift that you have to give, that you believe, it's the thing that you've said all your life, I'll never do that, I'll never give that up. In fact, it's a good idea not ever to say that, because 10 to 1, at some point, you will be faced with a choice that you give it up, or you don't get to the next step on your path, which is what would have happened to me if I hadn't. So anyway, then things started to go smoothly. And that was about this time last year, probably last week. And then in 3 weeks' time, I was moved here and waking up on my birthday morning in my own bed, in this house, looking out at the Caradoc. But I had to give up the most precious thing in my life for that. So, there we were. That was absolutely fine. Well, it wasn't, but it was. It actually was. Once I'd given up the pain and the tangles of threads connecting me to the past, just dissolved away. And with them, of course, went the pain. And my eyes were opened, I could see further than here, and I was getting proper perspective on life again. And so there we were, here. Here we were, here. Well, it takes a while to settle in. I'm sure you've all done moving at least once, and it's horrendous. It's possibly the most horrendous thing that we all have to do in a physical way. But anyway, we've moved in. And we settled. 3 or 4 months down the line, about 3, we were settled enough that I could have the first students here. This is a much bigger house than the last time, and I wasn't expecting that. I thought we were going to downsize, but no. We've got 2 lovely big spare rooms, which easily hold 4 people, and so I can have 8 students come and stay. And they really enjoy it, and there's an extra bathroom for them and all this kind of thing, and they get a lovely view out of the window too, and comfortable and cooked for, and they work in this room, and we do things, and of course we also can go out onto the hills, and the hills around here are just stunningly beautiful. It really is one of the most beautiful places in Britain. So, talk about landing on my feet, I did. But I wouldn't have if I hadn't been willing to give up. So we settled ourselves in, and I knew I had to climb the Caradoc, but this winter here, from November on through to February, it just rained and howled with wind. It was horrendous, and you know, I am old. I've got rheumatoid arthritis and osteoporosis and goodness knows what else, and 3 broken bones in my back and blah. And no way was I climbing the Caradoc in that kind of weather. There are limits, and those were definitely limits. And so if you want me to do the work, guys, I'm not going up there in this because I won't ever come down. Not alive. So they knew that anyway, but they were glad to hear that I knew that too and wasn't going to risk anything. So I had to wait, and then it started to get into the lovely weather that we had all through the beginning of lockdown. But I couldn't go then. It wasn't right. I kept nearly preparing to go, and out in the country here, we'd have gone if it had been right. It would have been okay. But it wasn't, and so we didn't. And it took to the week before midsummer before I could get up there. Now again, I think some of you know, that was quite a journey. It is actually, there is a very easy path to go up, and next time I will be taking it. But it started off that they wanted me to go up this first climb, which is sort of about that kind of slope and shale and falling apart and rocks, and you know, put your foot down on something and boom, you know, the stones fall away underneath you. And it goes up to a place called Three Fingers, which is 3 rocks sticking up, which is another amazing magical place. And it, you know, so you can climb up 3 Fingers. I did sort of go, no, are you trying to kill me? And so they laughed, and so I said, oh, go on, you can try. No, I'm not going up there, and I'm certainly not coming down, because coming down for me is actually worse even than going up. So no, I'll go up another way. And so my friend offered me the easy path. So I put that to Otherworld, particularly Gwyn. He's the boss of the mountain, he's my guardian, he was the one who wants me up there, so he needs talking to. So I put that to him and he went, no. So we were all looking at the map, and there's another climb, which is, it's soil, it's rocky, it is very steep, but it's short, well, probably about the same length as the Three Fingers one, but not quite as steep, and a much easier surface, but it's still hard going, especially for an old sod like me, you know, with loads of diseases and manky bones and muscle tone of a sort of dead slug. And so, okay. So I said, are you sure? Yeah, you've got to do it that way. Everything else that is going to happen, you've got to do it that way. So, okay. My friend was sort of arguing all the time. I said, I'm sorry, I've got to do it. I have had this all out with them. And I think at the time she didn't altogether know how things work with me and Otherworld. But anyway, she came with. So it was a lovely day, not too hot, and climbed up as we came up. And it was really stiff, it was sort of hurting. And as we came near the top, Raven came down. We'd had ravens over us, but Raven came down and sat on this rock. And you know, gorgeous. This beak coming open. And I think I've got a photograph of him somewhere. And it was literally like, well done. Come on. I called you up. You're here. Good. So, fine. Tick. Okay, got that far. Get up on the top. And it's wonderful. It's really beautiful up there. And we found the centre very quickly, where the centre of the mountain is, which is pretty near the centre of the top, and stood on it. And there you get this fantastic double vortex going up and down. And that was sort of like, whoa. And it was so energising. It was really, really good. And you really felt better, at least I really felt better after it, after the stiff climb. And this was like, whoa. So I was sort of washed through, re-energised, gifted. That was good. And then we had to find the cave, which is actually a bit difficult to find. So, and there's, I think there's 3 sheep tracks that sort of come down the side of the mountain and would go along it like contours. And it was like, which one? So we get on the wrong one a couple of times, and then we find the right one. Come round, and there's the cave. It's not a very big cave, but oh, it's special. It is so special. So, of course, we both went in, but I had to go in. And gifted in the cave. And just connected in the cave. It was good, well done, you're here. I said, fine, I'm here. And the question I was asked in the cave was, are you ready? So I thought, this is about work. I know it is. So I said, yes, I am. It's going to be really different. We'll show you. Not quite yet, but we need to know you're ready, and you have your promise, and you have gifted your promise to us here in the cave. The cave that reaches right down. The energy goes right down into the earth, into the heart of the earth, and reaches up to the heart of the sun as well. So I said, yes, I'm ready. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a bit like leaving the house in Herefordshire. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what exactly was going to happen, but okay, we're here. We'll go for it. So we did. And we came down the easy path, and it was a lovely walk, and so on and so forth, etc. It was really nice. 3 days later, note that 3 days brewing time, it happens in all the stories, and so go, okay, we're here again. 3 days brewing time, and my whole of my, every rib in my body just went and cramped me up, and I could hardly move. I couldn't turn over in bed, and it was serious. Now, up until that time, half of every day had been out in the garden, working the garden, helping it to become what it wanted to be, and some of it was quite hard work, you know, sort of digging holes and planting plants and digging up things that didn't want to be there and moving things around. And loads of stuff on the veg garden as well, because part of the feeling was that we need to eat from here. At least half what we eat from here. Suddenly I couldn't. No way could I do it. Hardly get from the bed to the sofa. And fortunately Paul was there and was able to, you know, make, I couldn't even carry a tea tray from the kitchen. It was that bad. So, sat on the sofa. Okay, what's going on? What's happening? Well, about 2014-15, I'd really started to get into, I should do more videos, and I've done, you know, creative videos. They're on my YouTube channel, and they're not bad, but I wanted to do more like this, and I never had. And at the time, Facebook Live wasn't happening, and I didn't know anything about Zoom and all that kind of thing. YouTube Live wasn't available to me at that time, so I was like, how am I going to do this? So I've been talking about it with some friends. I've got a particularly good friend in Australia who's done a lot. I mean, he is a coach, a world international coach, you know, business and life coach, and he does a lot of his work online. And so talking to him, talking to Fiona, who also has had this, like, we've got to do this. And although we work together, Fiona and I, we've not, like, had a business together. And that was important too. We had to have a business together. We have business separately as well, but we have to have a business together. So we had to do that. And my favourite witch friend in Ireland was there saying, yeah, I don't want to do this. This is your bit. Your bag, but not mine. But I think it'd be a good idea, so you ought to do this. So I was looking at all sorts of places that do it and getting advice and working on it. And of course it came that the old website, the one you know from now, was okay, but it wasn't good enough. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So I got advice from various people, and one particular, one of my students, he's a Rainbow Warrior student now, and he's a real techie guy, and he actually builds websites, and his partner builds websites. So, right, okay. And so it was like, I could do this for you, but you won't, of course, have the same control. So have you looked at Wix? Well, I had vaguely, but it was like, I'm not sure about this. He just threw me in there. So the past about 3 or 4 weeks, I suppose it is, I've had another learning curve, just like the slopes that I had to walk up, of how to do the websites through Wix. And I'm going to sound like a bloody advert now, but I'm sorry. It really bloody works. I was amazed. I thought, can I do this? And then you get the step, I can handle that. And click, click, click. Oh, I've got it. I've got videos, I've got SoundCloud attachments, I've got how people can pay me online, I've got blogs, I can put up videos, I can do videos, all that I wanted to do. So it's starting to come together. And some of you may have seen the beginnings of it. It's called www.deartrods.com, and the landing page is up, but you can't get any further into it, not until Lammas, because I'm still putting things together and we're still adding content to it. It's not just building the pages, but we've got to get the content right, so that when you get to the page, you get what you're supposed to get, and not a mess, and more learning curve like that. So it's coming along. And as I said, it'll be up at Lammas. It'll get added to quite a bit, but there will be a lot of stuff on there, and, well, a lot of free stuff to start with, but it's also going to be a membership thing, so that, you can join, and then you can pick up the videos and the video lessons, and do them at your speed, not, have to follow a curriculum, which the training that I've done before has been. The apprenticeship and the Rainbow Warriors, they are structured curriculum, and you work through at a particular pace and time. And that's not going to change for them, but the apprenticeship is a sort of middle level course, and Rainbow Warriors is really an advanced course. And this isn't about that. This is much more enabling and allowing, so you can pick things up to your own self. And by the time you've done a bit, you probably will want to go on and try the apprenticeship, or some of you will anyway. So, we were wondering what content to put up. What do people need? How do they need it? And, what have other people done? Yeah, that's okay, maybe, perhaps not. And because it took us back to what we already teach. And when the apprentices sign on, they get what we call a pre-course set of notes with exercises and things to do and things to read up on and learn and understand. So that's what you need. These are basic tools for getting around in Otherworld, and you really need that if you're really going to get intimate and in with Otherworld, which most people actually want. So you need to get the basic skills, or tools rather, to do this. I mean, things like asking and listening and hearing correctly, because you can listen and then your brain interprets and you get quite the wrong message. So you have to learn to listen, not interpret, and hear what is actually being said to you. And we've got lots of exercises for doing that with. And noticing. Noticing is such a big thing. And learning to work with Otherworld is all about noticing what happens around you. And again, you have to learn to notice without interpreting. You know, I saw a crow, that means somebody's going to die. No. I saw a crow. Stop. 2 paces back. Deep breaths. What was that about? What was that about? And then gradually learning that there's only one person who can truly tell you. That's Crow. Because he's not going to mean the same for everybody at every time. He's not going to mean the same for you every time you see him. So we've got lots of exercises, ideas to help you with that. And one of the big things, which is to do with all the others that I've just mentioned, is you have to be present. It's a little bit like mindfulness, but it is being totally connected with the world you're actually in, with this world. Because magic, and certainly in our old British ways, magic happens through the birds, through the leaves, through the way the wind blows, through the water, through the way the earth smells, through what a butterfly does with you, and when, and at what particular moment in your life. You know, this butterfly comes down and sits on you, and it will be meaningful to you at that time. Oh, you'll get what they call an aha moment. So we have lots of exercises that help you with that too. And you can't do the old ways without that. So this is what Gwyn was trying to tell me. This is what Gwyn wants me to do. And it's a bit sort of shaky, getting it together and working out just precisely what happens and what he wants and how to do it. And I haven't got that completely right yet. That's why the site's not opening until Lammas. But it'll be good enough by the time we get there. And then Gwyn said, well, it's not just the tools they need. There are some basic skills they need, which is part of what you give them before they actually start the apprenticeship. And things like, what have I got down here? Well, one of the big things, and you probably know this, or you'll have heard of this kind of thing before, through power animals. We don't have power animals in Britain. We have familiar spirits. The old witch stories talk about, you know, the old woman by her fire and Jim Crow who sat on the mantel beside her, hops around, is with her, or her cat. And lots of our old witch people, and my people were witch people too, my relations, going back, my mum and dad, they had cats. Like, those of you who have lived with cats know just, oh, they are so bright. People have wolves too, and birds, and a wren is one that I don't have her as a familiar all the time, but she does come to me a lot. So it's like learning, what is your familiar spirit? How do you know? How do you enable her, your familiar spirit, or him, to find you? And so it's going to be all about that. So that's going to be a longer course, you know, 3 or 4 videos and lessons and exercises in between, so you can get the hang of it for yourself. And you can, of course, keep redoing them because these will be on the site. So you didn't get it the first time, do it again. Have another go. I didn't get that bit. Do that bit again. Have another go. And lots of stuff which you may know from other trainings, but again is not so well known of what we do in the old ways, although I've got friends who teach it as well. Like stone magic. And that's not just crystals, that's rocks and mountains and soil and the pebbles in the river and all this stuff. And tree magic, and I was taught the Ogham, by my uncle, who was a woodsman, not a gamekeeper, a woodsman. And he taught me how it works with the trees, literally when by going out when I was a young kid. And I've written a book on it, and yeah, that's part of there, but there's lots more that you could do, and especially if I can give you experiential lessons and through the videos I can. So, and then there's water magic. Water magic is fantastic, and you just have to work with that. It really is glorious. And bridge magic, and door magic, and window magic, and they're all important. They really are, because they're part of your journey. They're part of gateways and thresholds that you'll need to learn how to use and work with. And of course, there's animal magic. Actually working with animals, not just familiar spirits, but working with all animals, and birds, and fish, and insects, and the whole of the animal kingdom. So we're going to have lessons on that, with lots of experiential stuff in for you to do, and ideas. And so I'm saying to Gwyn, well, what, we can't just dump them with these lessons. That's not going to work. The poor souls will have nowhere to go, no one to ask. So again, members of the deer trod, can't say it, members of the deer trod tribe will all be able to come to the gathering cave, and there's Fiona and I there, and we can offer experience, ideas, insights, and you can ask your questions. And I warn you now, both of us, and God knows how long have I been teaching, 30 or 40 years, and so is Fiona. When you ask a question, it will be a rare day that we give you an answer. What we will do, we're not bad at it now after all this experience, is ask you another question which will help you to find your answer. Because this is one of the things that's always been for me, and always been for Fiona, and always was when I was with Merlin, and it's certainly so with Gwyn, is nobody wants clones of their teacher. Well, Otherworld don't. And what they want is you to be you, and have your ways of doing things and your answer. So what we're going to be offering through the lessons and through the gathering cave, where you can ask the questions, is ways for you to find your answers. Not mine, not Fiona's, not somebody else's, not out of a book, yours. And actually that takes me to something else, because we've also found, I'm still going to be doing the apprenticeship, I'm still going to be doing Rainbow Warriors, Fiona's still going to be doing some of her stuff, but both of us, it's grown. Now, my journey, my story that I told you earlier, and remember, where's he gone? She. I started out here, looking for the bridge across into the tangle of the forest, the enchanted forest. How do I get there? How do I find the way? Now, I love those stories, the enchanted forest stories, and they're everywhere. I mean, films like Kroll, or can't think of any others, The Never-Ending Journey, that sort of thing. Those are all enchanted forest type stories, and they're lovely, and it has been part of our teaching law, what we call the Matter of Britain, since forever. So what has come, and it actually came through my cat, Kellen, who has sat on me for about 4 hours one afternoon, with me with a book, and it all just unfolded. The Enchanted Forest Journey. Now, this will be a longer course, so this will probably take 6 months or something. You can still do it at your pace, but even if you worked through every lesson and then took the next one without any thought back, it would take you 6 months to go through, but you can walk through it. And Fiona and I will be there more than at the gathering cave, so you'll be able to actually contact us and ask your particular question when you need to, not waiting for the gathering cave. And the Enchanted Forest is about, and the stories are always about, you finding you. My story today was about me finding the me that I need to be now. Not the me that I was for the past 20 years, but the me here and now, doing what I need to here and now. So just because you've done the Enchanted Forest journey once, it's not all over, by any manner of means. And you actually find yourself doing this. Now this is called the pole star, as you can see. And the person is walking through the path, through the trees, and it is lit by the star above. Now we have a pole star in the north and a pole star in the south. And people all over the world, north and south, use that star because that's the central point. I know where I am if I can relate to that. So your Enchanted Forest journey, it's like your pole star that you come to is actually your journey, your intention, your knowing, I want to be me. And again, this is a very experiential journey, and I'm writing it so that you can go with me on some journeys and then go and do them on your own with work outside. Lots of our work with Fiona and I, lots of us, our work that we do is like, go out, go for a walk, find a river, find some sea, find a tree, find a mountain, find something, find nature. And nature will teach you, which is why you need the noticing and the asking and the listening and the hearing, because the nature is going to help you on this journey. So you do need those ideas before you actually dive into this incredible tangle that the poor wanderer is heading into to start with. And then you know a little more about how to do it. And Fiona, well, both of us actually, we were chatting the other day, last week, and she's got a new course too that she's never done before. Fiona, by the way, is a rune master, and if you want to know how to work the runes and how to be with them and how to use them and really work with them, I can't recommend her highly enough. Brilliant. So that's one of her courses that you'll be able to do easily. And as well as this, what came to us, now Fiona lives with animals. Lots of animals live with Fiona, they've chosen to. She's got 4 horses, I think it's about, must be damn near a dozen ferrets, most of whom began life as rescues or rather kits of rescues. She's got about 50 poultry traipsing around her croft and giving her eggs and being lovely. What else? She's got 2 glorious whippet girls who are completely wicked and gorgeous and extremely knowing. There is a feral cat who comes to the croft every day and is helping to keep the rats and mice down. And she's got 4 horses. One is a huge golden ginger Suffolk punch with a beautiful blonde mane. He's so lovely, he really is, and he's got so much. And the other 3 that she's got are Arabs. And there's Abe, who is a beautiful dapple grey Arab. Oh, he's so handsome. I adore him. He's gorgeous. And he is a wizard. He is seriously a wizard. And he's wicked uncle to the whole little herd as well. And there is Poppy, who is the herd mother. She's about 12, I think, 13. And so she's sort of mature. She's with it. George is only 4, that's the Suffolk punch, and Abe is only 5, so they're babies. And Poppy is she's the grown-up. She's beautiful, and I would steal her if I could still ride. She's a beautiful bay Arab mare, and she is wise. She is so wise. She is the grandmother. I mean, she's not old enough in that sense to be a grandmother in a way, but she has all grandmother energy. And there's her young daughter, who is just about 2. And she is a Palomino, that's a golden coat with a white mane and tail, Arab. Oh God, she's a princess. She's a complete princess. Anyway, she's young, getting it together, but she's still, young, kid, teenager. So Fiona has all these animals, and they all have so much that they can teach humans. And so what we've got, what came to us both when we were chatting, was she needs to, and she started writing it, she needs to write the course, as I'm writing the Enchanted Forest course, she needs to write her course on animal shamans. Now this isn't animal shamans like using animals, it's not like the animal magic that we're doing, further back, earlier on in the courses. This is about working with animals who are shamans and who wish to teach us. And so she's working that one. And that will be available too. It'll be a longer course, of course, because you can't do that in 4 videos. It's going to be, 6 or 8 months kind of thing. So we've got all this stuff. I mean, can you imagine? It's like, we've been putting it together since midsummer. And it's actually coming together. And we're actually working it. And it will soon be there. Llamas. Now I'll put up the URL so that you can actually go and look at the landing page, and you can sign on there as an early bird, and there'll be all sorts of goodies for you after Llamas, and then you'll gradually get the look of it. We might be able to add some more stuff to the landing page before Llamas, just to give you a hint of what's going on, but it'll all be there by Llamas. And we would very much like to work with you there, because my journey between the ancestor and the tree has been so strong, and taking me to this labyrinth. And the website is like that. You go in and you come out, and as you go in you've got more. By going right to the centre you've got more, and then you take it out and work with it, and you go back in, get some more, and you take it out and work with it again. So we're really looking forward to you coming, to seeing you on and in and part of Dear Trods Tribe. So be more, and thank you very much. Lovely to see you all, and that was the story that Otherworld wanted me to tell you today. An enchanted forest journey. It takes me from one life to the new life. And you all have that. Now this can work. And actually, Fiona and I are here to help, if you want us. So, take care. Go out in the sunshine if you've got some. And I'll see you next week. So, bye for now.